Okay, we're back to hear some more of Maria's story. So you made it from the Russian zone to the English zone.
Yes.
In Austria. What town were you in Austria? Do you remember the town?
Yes, Graz.
Okay, Graz or something like that.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Right.
And so you and your mother settled there.
Well, first they put us, when we got there, they put us in like barracks.
Okay.
It used to be army, where they used to keep the army. They kept all the people that came over, because there were so many, and then gradually people found jobs and left from there, you know, to work.
Okay.
But we stayed within that area.
All right, okay. And so you were there for quite some time.
I was there for 9 years. I did all my schooling there. I had to take 2 years of schooling in 1 year because I was so far behind when I got to Austria.
Okay.
So
and then you told me kind of you had a surprise visitor after you had been there several years.
Yes, I was 16 when the Red Cross was told the school that my father is looking for me.
After all those years.
After all those years, right. And so my mother went to see if it really was my father. But she didn't tell me that's what she was doing.
She probably didn't want to get your hopes up.
Right. So one day...
She must have been in shock.
One day I had a knock at the door, and there was this man in front of the door, and he said, hi, and I said, hi, and he said, do you know who I am? I says, no. He says, I'm your father. I says, no, you are not my father. I says, my father is dead. He says, no. He says, I am your father. And then I saw my mother, you know, coming to the hall, and it was my father after 16 years.
So he had been looking for you through the Red Cross.
Through the Red Cross, right.
And finally found you.
Right.
So you have a lot to thank the Red Cross for.
And he had all his papers already to come to America.
Okay.
So he finished his papers and he came to America, got everything ready, and then we applied, and it took us a year to come here to America after he did.
Because he had already had his papers ready to go.
Right, because he was ready to go already. We never applied.
And he came over here, I think you told me he had some family already over here, is that correct?
Yeah, he had his sister here, he had his brother here, his mom and dad were here. I mean, his whole family was here.
Which was your family.
Right.
A family you didn't ever know.
No. My father's side of the family all came to America, and my mother's side of the family, like I said, they're all gone.
So
they're deceased.
You had to wait a year.
Yes.
Here all this time you had not had your dad.
No.
You met him, and then you had to wait a year to really be with him.
Right.
Was that hard to wait that year?
Well, after waiting so long, no.
Okay. 1 year compared to 16 was not bad.
Right.
And your mother, like I say, must have been in shock.
Well, yeah.
She assumed her husband was dead.
Yeah. But that happened a lot of times.
I'm sure.
Because a lot of families over there, it happened where they remarried. And they were married and had children.
Oh, that's true. That
with
could have
the
happened.
first husband and the second husband. All of a sudden, the first husband came back, and
yeah, you didn't have that part of the soap opera.
No, thank God.
So you came over to America, into the Chicago area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all in Chicago here.
Okay.
We all lived here.
So then you lived here from when you were 16?
Yes.
Okay.
Never left.
And did you finish school here, or had you already finished school?
No, I finished school in Europe.
Okay.
I came here and I started working. I was 17 when I started working here.
Okay. So you just caught up with your father and his side of the family.
Right.
You probably had a lot of stories to share back and forth.
Oh, yes.
Because he must have had a lot of stories.
Well, what's funny, the old-timers didn't talk about things. They didn't share.
Okay. So you didn't really find out that much about what had been going on for him?
I found out from other people, strangers more than I did from my own family.
Okay.
They didn't talk about it.
So had he been fighting in the war this whole time, or?
Well, he was prisoner of war.
Okay. All those years.
He was fighting in the war, and then when he was taken prisoner.
Okay.
You know, then he was a prisoner of war for a while. When they released him, you know, then he would start looking for us, but there were so many people scattered all over Europe that
Right.
He didn't even know where to look for us.
Sure.
I mean,
How
we
would
could
you
have
even
been
know where
in
to start?
Germany or Austria, or I mean, you know, he didn't know where to start looking.
And do you know how much time there was between when he was released from being a prisoner of war to when he found you? Do you know how much time there was?
No, I
Okay.
have no idea when his
Okay.
prisoner of war time was over.
And how was it that the Red Cross was able to find you?
The radio.
Okay.
They announced in the radio that, you know, Mr. is looking for a wife
okay.
with daughter Maria, you know,
okay.
and then my teachers told me in school, I think I think your father is looking for you.
So the teachers had heard it on the radio.
Right. And I told my mother, and then my mother got in touch with some people. I don't know, but she didn't tell me that she was going to
Look into it.
Right. I guess she didn't want me to be disappointed or
Sure.
whatever.
I can
so,
understand that.
You know.
I mean, she had a long history of protecting you from when you were really little.
Right.
They were like jumping off the train in Siberia and making her
Right.
way back to you.
Right.
And sneaking you out and
See, I
getting
don't
you to
even know
Hungary.
how far she got with the train. I mean, how far into Russia
Right.
she got or didn't get. Because all I know is it took her a year to come back.
So what's that like for you to have these stories about your mother, especially?
Yep.
When I think about what your mother did.
Well, see, the thing is, though, a lot of people went through that. Because most women that did go to Siberia never came back. I mean, they just didn't.
Sure, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
this ended up having a happy ending to it,
Right.
although
right.
with many, many challenges on the way.
Right. But at least it turned out all right. The end result was
Yeah, it seemed
okay.
like it could be a Hollywood movie or something. I mean,
No. It's just hard.
well, and I know one of the things that Kieran has said at the barn about you is that, you know, here you have the story, but she never hears you complain about what things were like for you growing up.
What good would it have done? I mean, it doesn't help anybody to dwell on things. It just makes you feel worse.
Yeah.
So you pick up the good things and go on with the good things.
You kind of focus on that yours had a happy ending and a lot of
Right.
people's didn't.
Which I did.
That's true.
You know.
That's true. Well, we're going to take another break right now. We'll be back with Maria.